Okay, here we go. AI music. You know, it's one of those things where a friend of mine kind of turned me on to the Donna AI app on her phone. And then so I started researching and making a bunch of songs, pasting old lyrics that I had into that, having just loads of fun generating these songs. And it was really of a decent quality. So then I got searching around and I started messing around with Suno, Sunu, whatever, I can never remember that one. And wow, this is even, the quality was very similar actually. I was like, wow, the results, the songs, the styles, the sound, it's very similar. Then Udio started messing with it, which I have up now, especially the vocal quality on this one. Now, I will say that a lot of times the performance seems over the top to me. It's a little bit, most of the vocals I get from this are just a little bit too, it's like somebody that's just trying to be too emotional, but for my style, for what I like. But one thing across all of them, and what I'm getting at with this video, is that um, who what is the real legal ramifications of this? I'm starting to feel like the Napster days. I'm starting to feel like this is Napster, where all of a sudden everyone is sharing, copyrighted material between each other, and everybody's putting their music collections, into this Napster system. And for me, it was just awesome. Not because I wanted to hear the latest pop song on Napster. It's because all of these songs that I remembered from years ago that you never heard or never knew, whatever happened, you could search, you could find somebody. Wow, he's got that old Neil Young Tonight's the Night album that you never see anymore, you know. And I really had that album, back in the mid '70s, and wow, now I can find it. Then you look, oh, I can see what else he's got. Wow, he's got this other stuff. And it was very interesting and entertaining to browse through people's music catalog. But the problem was it was all, really not really legal. It wasn't, this is all copyrighted material and it's just being freely shared. So as great as it was, that went away and it became a curated system now with Spotify or Amazon Music or whatever else is out there. That is now curating all these songs. And of course, they don't have everything. There's still albums you can't find on Spotify. Um, but at the same time, all the copyright stuff. Now, granted, the artists, not making money like they were selling albums or CDs, but it's curated by the industry or by an industry. So this AI music generation, it feels that way. Like they've obviously trained these models with music. They've got the entire Spotify library or one of these libraries and just trained the model on that entire library. So they're derivatives of copyrighted material. So their use of that copyrighted material in creating the models, what's the legality of that? Did they just need to pay a subscription to Spotify and just by listening? I mean, technically, as a human musician, that's how we all learned, by listening to other musicians, listening to other music. Do I owe royalties to all the artists that influenced me? So, I hope not. But, and the example, I'll take, for example, I took some lyrics, and I did not choose this artist's style or anything. I chose this one. I think was done in Donna AI on an app. I went into some lyrics I had written many years ago, pasted them in. I can't remember the selections. I probably chose a country, or I probably typed modern country, or I found piano country under Donna. Seems to give me what I want. But this,
my mind goes back to a long, long time ago. A day of love, a world alive with hope. On the shores of Carolina and hills of Tennessee.
In the middle, that's just classic Keith Urban guitar solo. It's like I wrote a Keith Urban song. It's mind-blowing. And then I did one in this Udio where this is a song I wrote very long time ago, the lyrics, and it came up with something totally different. But I chose like classic R&B and soul, and
it happens at times when I think I'm alright. I'm over it all.
Going in this
I want you to leave, but I pray for you to stay.
I mean, to me, that sounds like Smokey Robinson. I'm sorry, that's what it sounds like. It's just, it's mind-blowing. It's fun and mind-blowing to hear my lyrics, that I wrote music to all these songs, and it's completely, I wouldn't say completely different, very different from what these AI models came up with, especially if I choose genres that I could never pull off, like that one. But it is interesting sometimes, I guess, just the rhythm of the syllables. I do have some, the Keith Urban one, parts of that really do sound similar to what I had written many years ago and recorded. But it's just very interesting. It's very fun. But I really feel like that this is going to change dramatically. So I'm having a lot of fun with this now. But how do you get the cat back in the bag? That's what I thought about Spotify. Like, how do you get that cat back in the bag? All of a sudden now everybody's sharing this, but they're sharing it through a platform, and the platform can go away or be controlled by somebody else that makes it basically more expensive. So that's what I see happening here. You can't get this cat back in the bag as far as the way that these models are generating music. And it's kind of sad because people, I've never had a career of music. I've never really made significant money playing music. I've done it for my own enjoyment because I love doing it. It's been very interesting to me and fun to me to do. But I know many people, and there are many people, their entire livelihood is being a studio musician or creating stock music or radio jingles or jingle music, whatever. That stuff, I mean, this can totally replace that. I mean, if you're a songwriter and you're just doing lyrics, man, you can create fully produced, radio-ready songs, or I say radio-ready, download-ready, stream-ready songs in a couple of minutes. You can paste your lyrics in. I mean, some of these, I've done probably 10 or more variations by trying different prompts through the AI. And usually 4 or 5 in, it's like I get something that clicks. It's like, wow, that clicks. I like it. And sometimes it's not anywhere near what I was going for. It's like the program just went with something, and man, it just works. So it's very fun. It's very interesting. I'm just very curious to how this is going to play out, because I just don't understand the use of all this material that trained the models. They had to have, I mean, I'm thinking now, with as much as I've been through, that maybe they partnered with Spotify or some other entity that's got all this. Maybe there's some other fledgling streaming service out there that never got off the ground, but they have access to all this material, so they could partner with these guys in the background and make some money to try to survive. But in the process, is it really correct that they can use that data to create these models without the permission of all these artists? It's tough, because you can cover, supposedly you can cover any song. You can make a cover of any song, and you should pay royalties on that cover, but the artist cannot stop you from covering their music. That's the way I understand the copyright law. So technically, but they're not humans; they're computers. And the thing is, about AI versus a human, is humans, we forget stuff. So we learn a lot of stuff, but we forget a lot of stuff too. I know there's stuff I've learned about music and music theory and songs that I've learned and played and memorized that I can't play any of it now. I've forgotten it. Well, AI doesn't forget. It doesn't forget. It's all the data that goes in stays in. So the only thing it can do is get better and better and better as it gets more data, or as it has more time to analyze the data. Because not only does it have the data of the songs themselves, but it has the data of the popularity of those songs and all kinds of demographic data about these songs that can be used in this prompting process. So I saw it. This is not an original thought of mine. I saw it somewhere. I've watched a lot of videos about this, but I can see where people basically create playlists of their own music, and that's all they ever listen to is their own music. You know, their own lyrics and music they created through prompting. So we went from the only ever music you ever heard, 100 years ago, 150 years ago, was live music played by live musicians. And then recording was invented, and then so you could go hear a live musician, or you could hear at one specific performance as many times as you wanted to. And I know that there was musicians that were concerned about that they didn't want to be recorded on record because they were afraid that people were not going to come pay them to hear them play, because they could take one performance and just listen to it over and over and over. So there were musicians that were against the entire recording industry. And then it went from the point, it was still kind of tough to record music yourself or to duplicate music. So you would buy albums and you would listen to, 30 or 40 minutes of an artist's music. You'd listen to that album. Because it was not easy to just go listen to one song. Then singles came along, and listen to singles. So some people would buy singles and stack them on a changer that would drop them down, but most people I knew would buy albums, and you would listen to the entire album, and you would love an artist, and you would love all their deep tracks, and sometimes you'd buy an album that you never listened to, but I bought a lot of albums over the years. Then cassettes started to gain popularity, and then cassette recorders, and people started making mixtapes. So now people were listening to tapes that they constructed of the songs they wanted to hear. I'll also say during all this time, we had everybody listened to the same radio stations, pretty much. Everybody in your demographic group. So yeah, maybe my parents listened to the PBS classical easy listening station, and all my buddies listened to the rock station, and another group, most of the girls listened to the pop AM radio station, but everybody was hearing the same music. So no matter where you went, at least in the U.S., you go visit your cousins halfway across the country, and they're listening to the exact same music that you are. And then with the internet and with streaming, now it's like everybody has their own playlist, and everybody has their own thing. So the idea of superstar artists is pretty rare, except in a pop situation where they can get themselves on TV in various aspects and doing big concert tours. People like Taylor Swift, who's super large pop stars. But it's tough because there's so many genres now. There's so much fragmentation that people, especially people that are really into music, have created their own little personal playlists that nobody else hears their playlist. So there's not a lot of different people coming together to make an artist, a unique artist, famous. But now the next step in that progression is that everyone creates their own music. You go on Udio and you type in a few prompts. Oh, I'm feeling kind of blue, and I want to hear some, bluesy, jazz, whatever, and it creates completely original music that does that. Or I'm feeling in such and such a mood. You go type in the prompt, you get it, you save it to your library, you can download it, you put it on your phone, listen to it on your earphones. I think we're going down that progression to where, and I think when the final end of that is that, the artist, unless you're going to a venue and you want to hear an artist, the artist will be virtual. They won't really exist. They'll just be fragments of artists that existed up until the time that the models were trained. So you might think, well, incredible musicians could help to train the models even more. Maybe you could sell to them. But what musicians are doing now is they're putting their music out on Spotify and streaming services, and I believe that these AI models are just taking that music, including the new music coming in, and adding it to their model. So I don't know that for sure, can't prove that, but how else are they doing this? How else are they emulating these other artists? So that's what's on my mind this morning.